Ankita, good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we were just talking about the Wes Anderson trend before we got started, so that is definitely going to come up later in the episode. But to begin with, tell me about your journey. How did your journey to now coaching people on growing on Instagram start?
Like every time somebody asks me that question, I have to like go back a whole 8x rewind of what all have I done. I'll start with the highlights of what I remember. So when I was in college, which was in fact quite a few years ago, I was looking for a job. I like to think that the only reason of my claim to fame in the year 2019 was because I made an Instagram resume. Because that was the time when people were trying to really experiment with the overall grid and trying to make patterns out of it. And that looked pretty interesting to me. I made a resume out of it. It kind of blew up, and I had absolutely no expectation or had even thought that, I would do this for the aim of blowing up. I was shy of 10,000 followers in college because I just used to post photography stuff. That blew up, got featured by a bunch of newspapers and other publications. And I rode on that wave for a while, thinking that maybe I could research more on how to teach people how to make resumes. But I was no expert. I was fresh out of college. I couldn't really tell them that much. But what I was still passionate about was putting out content, even when reels were not a thing. So this company, you can bleep it out if, it's not part of an extra promotion. Tripoto reached out to me during the pandemic that they were looking for someone to host a course on Instagram growth. And I'm like, what do I teach? They're like, you made that really cool resume. You post your own art. You seem to be like a person who knows a thing or two. I'm like, do I? Do I know it? They're like, dude, we'll push you. We'll help you. Just come up with a curriculum. Sit for 10 days. Come up with a course. You can do it. We'll market it for you. They did that. I taught 20 sessions of those. Then I went solo. And for the last close to 2.5 years now, I've been teaching this Instagram growth, Instagram creator bootcamp each and every month without fail.
Yeah.
So that has been my journey where it took someone else to push me because they thought that I had something to teach people. I then started polishing it month after month after month. My first Zoom session, I still remember, I was 30 people showed up and I had no idea that they would. It took a lot of practice and continuous sessions, lots of even critical feedback from students. They're like, oh, you're going too fast. There's too much information on a slide. Or you're just giving us generic knowledge. So a lot of research, a lot of practice. Because with understanding Gen Z, internet and social media, there's no degree, there's no book. Scrolling is your syllabus.
You're Gen Z, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how I came about to being an Instagram coach today.
Yeah.
And I plan to continue on that path because I've recently also left my job and teaching has been my calling for as long as I can remember, which is 2020. So teaching is something I definitely want to continue. I feel like I'm the most confident and my energy comes out very naturally when I'm trying to tell people, hey, this is what I've learned and look, it's so cool and I'll make it funny for you. I thrive on making someone laugh while teaching them something. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and you're a creator yourself, right? I think that's really, really important. If you don't get that, I think teaching is... How do you teach social media unless you're completely drenched in yourself?
That's true. As I said, scrolling is the syllabus.
Scrolling is the syllabus. Wow. That is Gen Z. Let's take a step back. So when I got Instagram the first time, I don't know how many years back that was, it was all about pictures, right? And the idea was, wow, we're doing square pictures. And being a photographer that time, that felt so arty because you're thinking square compositions and square framing. And you would upload a picture, you were so fascinated by those 7-8 filters. Everyone's pictures looked the same. Everyone used that yellow in the center sort of a filter. Forgetting the name.
Valencia.
You would get 4 likes and that was super cool and you were done. That was it. That was Instagram. And now when I look at Instagram, it's, oh man, there is so much thought to it. There's so much thinking. I don't know why so many people dance on Instagram, but it's just changed. And why I'm saying this is because you said you would post pictures. Now, how's that been for you? Because to me, pictures today are almost dead. And that kind of really pains me because pictures are so good, but you know you're not going to get any traction on it.
Like, I will deflect from the first question and come to the second one. You mentioned that you think pictures are dead, but especially this year. So 2022 was evidently all about reels and videos. And in fact, that's what I was teaching as well. And you know, like when I teach each and every course, the curriculum updates because there are just so many features, so many changes in the way, you know, things are being prioritized on Instagram. And like my only research page is the Instagram blog, the official updates. I don't have an in the main headquarters. And I'm stealing a few confidential, you know, database files, whatever. But this year, photos are actually back in business.
Okay.
As Adam Mosseri, he mentioned in his blog, I think at the starting of the year, where they admitted that, you know, we as Instagram prioritized videos a lot more than photos, and we took your feedback that you want photos back. So now photos and videos have equal weightage, which is something I've started putting into practice with my content plan lately. I try to post any form of static. It could be carousels or just a single picture, at least 2 to 3 of them in a week, with an equal balance of reels. There was all of February, my carousels, my static photos, in fact, had thrice the reach than that of my reels. And that honestly was such a breath of fresh air, because just people looking at a picture of me and my friends is like somehow showing up in someone's Explore and not a reel I worked like 10 hours on. That's insane. But it's also good news. Newsflash for you. Photos are back in business. So like, please post whatever pictures you have from your trip.
Today, I actually posted pictures today because there are so many accounts that keep telling you what to do. Like this month, the Instagram algorithm is asking you to do this. It works better. So it was like do 2 reels into 1 static, into 1 something. Again, this is something I want to get to later part of the show, that some basic growth tips that people can use. But starting with pictures, I'm glad to know that, because to me as a person who really likes still pictures, that just hurt, right? And then I would look at my stats and I was like, damn, I reeled it so much, but the posts are like not even 1/100th of
No, but your page has such good visual content.
Thank you.
Like especially, like of course the drone videos I saw, the Wes Anderson reel you made, I saw. Then I see you also do a bunch of informative content, like the series you did on the alcohol prices in Delhi. I thought that was so interesting. That was so relevant to your...
That's been my biggest, whatever, views, largest views I've got.
Let's call it a piece of
art.
Art, truly. Great alcohol prices. Sorry, I'm deflecting.
The piece of art in that reel is the comment section. That's where it's at.
I think that's the case with any viral video. Like you look at something very controversial and immediately you're like, you know what? The actual gold mine is the comments.
Yeah.
That's where you get additional context. You get live reactions. And you're like, okay, if I had a joke in my head, I'll probably try to look for it and see that did somebody else also think of the same thing. Anywho, comment section, especially for memes, is my favorite because it seems like it's a Twitter thread for a joke, essentially. It just keeps building up.
Yeah.
But
coming to trends, right? Firstly, how important is it to follow trends in terms of not only that subject matter, but also the songs to use for it and the audio to use for it? Like, does that really practically help growth?
I know of people who've also only stuck to original content and still grown. I am a big fan of original content, which is where like you're just facing the camera, speaking. There's no trending music. And some people who only rely on trending audios and lip syncs or any trending formats to grow. But if you want to chase what the algorithm prioritizes, trends, of course, help in that case. But if you're someone who's okay with slow growth, original content is the way to go. I'm a person who's a fan of giving both things equal importance and not keeping both of them at a pedestal. Because I feel when I want to make videos and make a content plan, the ease of creating content needs to suit me first.
Yeah.
And then it needs to please the algorithm. Because if the algorithm wants me to create 7 reels in a week and that is the set in stone formula to grow, I'll be like, great, but I can't do that. I have a house to maintain. I have lots of sleep to catch on. I love sleeping for 8 hours.
Same.
And I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
And there are some days I just don't have it in me to record a video. So 3 to 4 reels a week is where my sweet spot is at. Even if it's lesser than what the suggested amount is, it needs to suit me first because I need to be able to sustain that for a longer period of time to see results. If I can sustain 7, great, but I can't. So being realistic about that really, really helps. When I'm creating my content plan, I try to make sure in those 3 to 4 things, 50% is original face to cam, 50% is trends. Because they're easy, they get done in like 20 minutes.
When I started, so my Instagram stagnated for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was at about 14, 16K followers for quite a while. And I think last September, I was like, you know what, I need to do something. It's time to focus on this. And I was like, no, man, I can't do reels. And at one point, I was like, no, you know what, you have to do reels. And then I was like, okay, we won't dance at least. We won't do dancing trends. So that was the compromise I had to make with myself, saying that, okay, we'll do reels, but we won't dance on camera. And I think reels definitely helped in my case.
What made you push to make reels? Like, what was that moment that, fine, you know what, I'll make something, but I know this is not it. What was the first thing you made that made you feel like, okay, maybe I can do this longer?
I think just getting somewhere frustrated with the growth, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know it's not getting pushed. I know even my entire followers are not seeing this. And then you're seeing such a lot of cringe stuff also just blow up, and you're like, man, come on. Some really good stuff though, but some really cringy stuff. And then I was like, you know what, have to do reels. And reels, I think my formula also right now is do a few trends, very few though. We'll talk about the Wes Anderson one.
For sure.
But a lot of original content, but I think again, still learning a lot on the algorithm bit. But sometimes it feels that if you're creating original content, Instagram is not incentivizing you to create original content. They are somewhere, like if I look at the creator account, they're literally telling you songs of the week or trends of the week and all, right? And to me, that somewhere is the disheartening thing, or maybe I'm seeing this the wrong way, but to me, it's like that's promoting like a cookie cutter factory content production thing that here's the song, use this, you might get better results.
Like, I know exactly where you're coming from because as a consumer, I feel bombarded with those like, your friends are using this filter, why don't you use this filter? Your friends are using this song, why don't you make a song? Why don't you make a reel out of your highlight? I don't want to. But to think from the perspective of the product engineers sitting at Instagram, now this is what I learned at my time when like I was contracted with YouTube. I was there as a temporary vendor for like 1.5 years and helping them with their social media editorial. And YouTube Shorts had just come into India. So when we used to look at the product updates for YouTube Shorts, I was trying to understand that as a consumer, but also being behind the product, it made me realize for any short form video onboarding app or company, their main goal is onboarding people and making the process of creation as easy as possible. So when we as consumers feel like we are being given a little too many cookie cutters, the product engineers are actually happy because there are so many beginners, especially in India. India probably gives them the maximum business in terms of ads for the number of people who are joining Instagram every day in our country. So to get that hand-holded guidance, and also Instagram has a fantastic video editing UI.
Yeah.
So to make that process so easy for beginners and making it beginner friendly is exactly their aim for giving so many, use this template, use this song. If you see an upwards arrow, that's your sign to create then and there. So they're literally shaping.
What's this upward arrow?
The upward arrow on a certain audio indicates that it's trending.
Okay.
Right? So they're basically teaching people how to navigate so that their process of creation is as easy as possible. For us as seasoned consumers, as I like to think,
yeah,
the truth doesn't go away from the fact that it's annoying.
It is annoying. Okay, fair. Never thought of it from a beginner point of view, right? How would that feel?
Yeah, because we're using it professionally to and we have, let's say, accumulated a decent number of following. So we would want to figure out how to go beyond the tools that are just given on Instagram. Like, you use additional equipment. You're way beyond what at least 90% of the users on Instagram are doing. So in fact, it's good that you have the bird's eye views. You're like, I don't want to do that. This is weird. This is annoying.
Yeah.
You're picky about it, which is great. And I think when you're a creator, you have to separate yourselves from what the 90% is doing and focus more on what is it that I can do that the 90% will watch.
Yeah. Storytelling at the end of the day, right?
100%.
It's all about that. Okay, so we'll start from
Gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping. Let's go.
You know how there's live, laugh, love for millennials? Again, a product of meme culture, as I like to think, is gaslight, girl boss, gatekeep. Do you know of this?
No.
Can you give a shot to maybe decoding what this trifecta means? Give it a shot.
I understand what gaslighting is.
Okay, great.
What was the second thing?
Gaslight, girl boss, and gatekeep.
Girl boss, I get.
Yeah.
Gatekeep, I don't understand in the context you're saying. Because I don't think anyone can gatekeep anything.
No, they can.
How?
They can. They're so... you just have to be... Bullies were the most... what do you call... Bullies in school were the most initial examples in life of people who used to gatekeep things from you. Anybody can gatekeep anything. People not inviting you to their birthday party is them gatekeeping you from being invited in their group. Gatekeeping is a very day-to-day act of rejection. But on the internet, it's you also having a very particular opinion on... Not everybody's getting the Wes Anderson reel, right?
Yeah, of course.
Some of you haven't watched a Wes Anderson movie and it shows.
That's what I said.
Putting out a fiery tweet and just shitting on other people's takes. See, that's gatekeeping. Now, if that's a good gatekeeping, bad gatekeeping, that's your decision to make.
To me, that's not gatekeeping. To me, that's saying that just do some research. Watch one movie. Watch a YouTube clip.
Gatekeeping a trend. You're trying to preserve its dignity. That's why it's gate-kept. But that's good kind of gatekeeping.
Like what we said, I would want Wes to... It's a homage to him, right?
Yeah, and a reaction video from Wes Anderson on reviewing how badly his style has been butchered would be great.
So, why I put out this, just for context, I put out a Wes Anderson reel that really did decently well. And then I was seeing a lot of other stuff come from India. And to me, it's not like that Wes Anderson reel took hours to make. It literally took no time. I genuinely was going for a shave in this village I was at.
It's always the reels that don't take much time to make.
My only thing was I'll carry my tripod with me because I want the camera stationary. I just told the Babu one thing. Keep looking in the camera once in a while and don't smile.
The deadpan.
That was it, right? Rest, I put the camera stationary, whatever. Nothing, 15 minutes of editing and you're done. But if you've seen Wes Anderson, even if you've seen one Wes Anderson movie, it's not about the filters or
the fonts.
The fonts, right? It's about composition and it is about storytelling. And to me, the thing was that most people didn't do any storytelling. It was just selfies with a filter and music. That's not Wes Anderson. That was my point. At least tell a story. Story could be crap, no problem. That's subjective. But you just putting your face is not Wes Anderson.
We should have a show where we review at least 10 reels of the week together and give critical pop culture analysis on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
One Gen Z, one millennial. We can do this.
No, but like I agree with you. A lot of them, like I know Wes Anderson shots are supposed to be like cinemagraphs, stationary frame, what do you call, a stationary subject, and something else can move. But a lot of them had like panning shots, like really shaky shots or non-symmetrical shots, not even the correct font.
In fact, shaky is not a bad thing. So a lot of Wes Anderson stuff, his pans can be shaky, and that's to keep things a little human. This is going to become a Wes Anderson thing, but after this trend started again, and I'm a big YouTube like viewer, right? I'll watch a lot of stuff on YouTube every day. I just went back to look at some other stuff of Wes Anderson in terms of, his critique of his direction and stuff. And I found across this really interesting comparison where his stuff is very realistic. Like most of his scenes are realistic, right? Not the animated movies, but most of the other stuff. This one channel did an analysis of this clip from Inception versus this clip from Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
Now in Inception, that whole hotel lobby is rotating and people are falling, but it seems realistic because it's shot in that way to make it look realistic. But no ways can that ever be realistic. And in Grand Budapest Hotel, there's this guy just walking down a hotel lobby, but the way it's shot, it looks unrealistic. And that's the simple difference of what Wes can do with just that composition and that camera angle. So yeah, just digressing into Wes Anderson. But yeah, I think to me it's just put in a little more effort. Forget more, just put in a little effort.
Yeah, a little research never harmed anyone. And also like with what you're mentioning, like I'm very happy to talk about Wes Anderson. A little context, I've also studied mass communication. So I've spent 3 years of my college life like watching movies in the classroom. Like we would be called to college. Like I'm so thankful for like the kind of education I got in my degree, because we were called to college and given attendance to watch Gone with the Wind, The Graduate, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, all parts of The Godfather. Even the Grand Budapest Hotel was in fact a part of our curriculum. So like during our filmmaking courses, when like I first got introduced to like okay, there can be so many styles and there's so many movies in the world that I haven't been exposed to. So that's where I got introduced to Wes Anderson for the first time. And I remember that one shot of Mendel's, the pink bakery boxes. That one shot really stuck with me. And my friend told me a fun little trivia about that scene is that when all the boxes were printed in that pink Mendel's scene and both the characters are there at the back of the car or the truck, there was a spelling error that was accidentally printed on all of them. They had to discard all those boxes and print it again, and the scene was reshot.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think an apostrophe was missing. It's MENDL apostrophe S, if I'm not wrong. In the first like print segment they made, the apostrophe was missing.
Someone would have gotten fired.
Yeah.
There's a leak. Of course, it's a spoof, but on YouTube there's one, just an audio, but it says leaked audio from Wes Anderson set, and Wes is just screaming at someone because the frame is like 1 inch off. He's like, how the hell will people know it's a Wes Anderson movie if it's 1 inch off? Like, so yeah, Wes Anderson's a whole another universe. We can do a whole episode on Wes. Coming back to Instagram in 2023, give me some tangible tips or regimes or calendars that people should follow to see some growth. And again, I'm not asking you to spill your boot camp. That is something that I'm also going to be signing up for at some point. But yeah, just like some, tell me basic things people can do to generally improve their reach.
I would say it begins with a certain kind of discipline. Like at the risk of sounding like a motivational speaker, unfortunately and fortunately, it boils down to the simple act of just posting something, even if it's not a 10 on 10 always. It doesn't have to be the highest quality production that you need to spend hours editing. Sometimes if you've just made a tiny observation because of a squirrel outside your window, like a raw, unfiltered, in the moment, on the spot video, has higher chances of doing well than something that is heavily manicured. Like, what I like to say is the audience has a very good bullshit radar. They know when you're being a little inauthentic. And I feel as a creator, it's very, very easy to amass a following. But like when that following holds you accountable, you better answer back. You better take that feedback into consideration, because like you're literally using the biggest currency we have right now, which is attention. They're giving you your time. You better make it worthwhile. And if you're giving them lies, or if you're giving them something inauthentic, you'll get called out.
Yeah.
Their bullshit radar is strong. They'll tell you, okay, you're bullshitting. I'm going to unfollow, scroll, swipe, block, delete, mute, whatever. But yes, starts with planning, starts with knowing at least what are some of the 3-4 defined things I will talk about on my profile. Of course, like in marketing terms, in any social media manager would know this, is a content pillar, right? And those content pillars or like content themes need to be figured out, because that makes the biggest part of your strategy. At the end of the day, if you can't tie it back to a North Star, like if I have a page on, let's say, my love for coffee, I can't make a detailed post on, look, I got my braces off today, right? Like even though how badly I want to share it with the world, I can't. Maybe I can take it to the stories, whatever it might be. There are ways to humanize your content on the feed by keeping it relevant to the 3-4 things you decide to talk about. Secondly, a lot of people think planning for 30 days is a great thing. I think like you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're planning for 30 days, because it doesn't leave you any room for intuitive content creation. Planning for 30 days is too much. Just a week is okay. Because in that week, if a certain trend resurfaces or surfaces for the first time, you should have the flexibility to immediately be like, okay, let me shoot this today and put it out tomorrow. Because a lot of it is, okay, you've seen this now and you immediately act on it. It's how quickly you're able to contribute to a trend. So only planning for a week is fine. You don't need to go the extra mile. It's in fact going to cause you more harm. If you set things in stone from till date to the 30th of November, you're going to miss out on so many trends, right? And lastly, like as I said, work with a cadence, work with a frequency that suits you first. A lot of us a lot of people who even come to the boot camp have kids. They have like tiffins to pack in the morning. They have houses to maintain. They have like in-laws to please. They have jobs. They have PhDs going on. Nobody has like 12 hours available to themselves in a day to just focus on content creation.
Yeah.
So expecting results like that of a full-time content creator is also unfair.
Is it helpful to post every day?
It is. I'm sure you know of this creator called the Mermaid Scales.
No.
She's this girl from India. She hasn't disclosed her location, but she rose to fame when TikTok was still in India. Used to make really funny, trending lip sync reels. And she has still sustained that wave. And I was very curious to know how she's still so big on TikTok. She's extremely big on Instagram right now, especially with the 13 to 18 years age group, which is exactly what these social media companies, like this exact age group they want to target. Okay, like I think 18 to 24, 24 to 30 currently is out of business. They're on autopilot. I might be assuming here. But this girl, she posts 4 reels in a day.
Wow.
Which means she's bulk creating. You can gauge that from the outfits. And secondly, like the observation that I made from her account made me realize if she's posting 4 reels in a day, I have only seen 2 of those on my feed. Which means like some of her other followers might have seen 3 of them, might have seen only 1 of them, or might have seen only the 2nd and the 4th. The thing is, the more you post, the more you're giving your audience the chances to interact with you. In a way, quantity is better than quality on Instagram in a lot of ways. But it's unfortunately a very saturated space right now. Quality will have to trump it, and creation speeds will be slower. They can only rise up if you get a team. So
Team?
Yeah, a team. A lot of us are social media teams of one, right?
Yeah.
Doing it all alone. And like it has also come to me after a very long time. It's an ongoing process still, but I have to cut myself slack that I'm not able to create as fast as I consume. Because in a day, I look at maybe 50 content creators who've made 50 new reels, and I'm like, I just scrolled for 4 hours today. I didn't do anything. Then I have to constantly remind myself, it takes hours to make one video.
What's the screen time on Instagram? I'm embarrassed to even say mine. I looked it up earlier. Cannot.
No, it would be bad. I've been scrolling a lot lately. How to go? Oh yeah, your activity. Oh, how much is yours?
I'm not going to say. I'm not saying mine.
Okay. I have a 3 hour and 18 minute average. 7, 6, 9 hours. How much is it?
That is amazing. Mine is terrible.
I've started scheduling my posts, so that really helps.
Where is my... Mine is quite terrible, actually. Oh no, mine is daily average is 3 hours 50 minutes.
No way.
It's terrible.
No way.
I told you it's terrible. But I do think Instagram's a better messaging app than WhatsApp.
Oh, 100%.
I will not respond to anyone on WhatsApp. You message me on Instagram. Done.
I have another comparison to make. How many 100 chats do you have?
On WhatsApp? You can't trump me on that.
Okay, I asked you first, so you tell me.
569 as of now.
Okay, never mind.
You?
I have 117.
Oh, that's amateur, man. 569.
Damn.
Just because you messaged me on WhatsApp doesn't mean I'm liable to open that message and read.
Yeah.
Having said that, my bio on my that status is, please email, please.
Do you have your email also written in the bio?
No.
So no. How will they email?
They'll find it. If someone has to find it, they'll find it. How much spoon feeding are you going to do?
No, but WhatsApp is a little too personal and intimate for people who just reach out to me for work. Sometimes messages are rolling in either at an 8:30 or even at a 10:30 at night. And I usually compartmentalize it at the back of my brain. Even if it's an urgent message that I can very well respond to right now, I sometimes feel like there's a very evident disconnect between brain and body. My brain is like, okay, you can respond it right now. And I'm like, no, dude, too much. Like, I don't want them to think I'm immediately available and glued to my phone all the time. And here's your response in 0.3 seconds.
I think the biggest learning that comes at some point, like which has come for me, is that whether it's a message, email, WhatsApp, anything, you can take your time to reply. There is no hurry to reply to anything. And I've been in that zone back in the day when BlackBerry days, right? I need my email to hit my account in 0.2 seconds so I can reply immediately. For what? Like, you're not liable to reply urgently to anyone. Unless it's a really pressing matter, and that's different. Take your time to reply. Coming back to being authentic. What's our view on the state of influencers and brands? Because a lot of my scrolling on Instagram is just looking at what people are up to, and I was like, how are they doing that? How did an agency sell that to a client? How did a client agree to it? And how did the influencer agree to it? What was happening there? So what are your takes?
On, like, with the entire agencies, brands and the influencer ecosystem, like anything in particular that you're trying to target here?
No, just tell me your views. Like to me, honestly, I think the influencer thing largely seems fake.
I mean, of course.
And
because it isn't.
And that is what it is like. And I'll look at it from multiple points, right? One is me being a creator because some brands will come to me. Second is I have a brand to run, which also requires some social media presence and engaging with certain people. And like we took a call at Swami that we're not going to work on any paid things with influencers. We don't need to do that. We'll keep it organic. If someone posts about us, great. But we are not going to get into that because it just seems you're going to be recommending one brand every day almost. How am I to know that you're truly into the brand or enjoying the brand, or you're saying it because you've got money to say it. So to me, the authenticity somewhere on the influencer thing is very, very low. So I'm not a big fan of that. It's good money on the side, but I don't know.
Like to what you said, the fact that the entire influencer content ecosystem, majority of it, yes, feels fake. Hell, like even I feel a little shallow and fake sometimes when I feel like, okay, I've had like 3 breakdowns today, but they're just getting to see this like great pasta I made for dinner, you know? They think like my life is rosy and perfect, but I feel like I wish there was an orientation for each and every kid who joined social media, that what you're going to see is only going to be highlights of people. You're never going to see them posting an up-close picture of their face with upper lip hair and a booger visible. They will never post like the 2-hour crying session. They will not show the unaesthetic corner of their house. Like I wish there was a disclaimer that Instagram gave to people apart from their data and privacy terms, you know, and like that comes like after I made my peace with the fact that, okay, even I do this. And it's because like in that moment, I know that is the only thing I want to share with an audience that is like most of the times kind to me, but can also misconstrue my message in so many ways. So I understand why people only want to share the positives of their life. If that makes them fake, yes, but that's precisely what social media is. It's distraction from everything that's not working out in real life. So you go and doom scroll for 2 hours. I do want to talk about the branded, you know, aspect of everything that's currently happening in the creator economy scene, and being on the receiving side of it as well, and being on a side where like I've collaborated with influencers while managing a certain brand. Yes, it's great money, and there's no lie in the fact that they're being paid to say that Swami is the best tonic they've ever had. They're literally obsessed with it, you know. There's no lie in that. But there are certain creators who I know who have still managed to keep their branded content so refreshing. And now the audience is also warming up to the fact that our favorite creator will not just post their own content. They're getting big. They're going to get paid. So we understand that you will post certain ad-like content. So the influencer needs to cater to both the community they've built and the brand. And I've seen some creators do it really well. Like this guy, Ma Life, Ma Rules, Nirmal Pillai. I love his content. And the way he does branded work still has like such a strong flavor of what he does in the non-branded work, which is what makes it work so well. And I feel no matter what brand that, like if he were to do, a promotion of, would always be packaged in a way I would have never thought of. And it's always so creative. Yeah. It's so funny.
See, now that sounds good, right? Where the other person's also got enough freedom and they're making it in their style.
The freedom.
Rather, like, the last brand I worked with this way was Uniqlo. And I would not be posting about fashion at all. Like, I'm not that person who will be making a reel on fashion. But when I spoke with them, they're like, no, we just want the word out on these products. But they're like, please absolutely do it your way. There is nothing from we are not giving you any guidelines. And to me, that is how most brands need to work. But I end up seeing that happens surprisingly seldom, that you're literally given a script. And I was like, how can you give a script to someone? You're coming to them for that reason, right? Because they do things in a certain way. And then there's a script and you're like, wait, what? I've done a couple of those. I'm not the most proud about it.
We're all ashamed of, doing things that we don't align with just because it pays the bills. I'm sure it's the way the system works, and I feel those are certain stepping stones. No matter how much you avoid, no matter how far it is from your ethical compass, you will do it. You will have to make your peace with it. That okay, I know maybe this isn't my truth, but if it's helping me survive in a city like Bombay, I will do it.
Yeah,
that's also precisely what this city has taught me as well. And I might not be putting a lot of those lessons into my like offline and real life, but I do take a lot of those lessons and like put it out like in my online work, because I am continuously thinking there's a massive chunk of population traveling from 8 a.m. onwards till 9:30 in a local. What are all of them doing in a local? They're either on Netflix or they're on their phones.
Yeah.
Great time to post content, you know.
Yeah.
Then the same janta 4:30 p.m. onwards till 8 p.m. onwards is again moving at least 30 kilometers across the city. What are they doing? They're either on Netflix on their phones or watching. Great time to post content. The city, in fact, teaches me so much about like human behavior that I try to take back into what I should be doing on Instagram. Again, at the risk of sounding like a motivational speaker, it also truly taught me like how to hustle with the content as well. If you want to make a piece of content, go out on Carter Road and interview people, get their opinions. You know, I also come from this, I don't know if it's tier 2 or tier 3, according to the exact definition, city called Chandigarh. Very proud of it. Beautiful city.
I love Chandigarh.
But does it have the willingness to indulge in creative projects with literally anyone and everyone on the road like Bombay does? No. You walk up to anyone here, you sit with anyone in a cafe, you tell them, I have this idea, do you want to work with me on this? 90% chances are they'll say yes. They'll plan something out and you'll end up working on a project together. And that's exactly how even this happened. I get a call on a random day. They're like, hey, do you want to come on this podcast? I'm like, sure. They're like, okay, see you next week. And now I'm here.
Yeah, Bombay is good that way.
So like, I honestly feel like Bombay and the way of my living here has taught me a lot about my ways of the ideal content creator that I want to be. But difficult city to survive in.
Yeah, Bombay is.
Has made me do work that I like. Sometimes I'm, not 100% aligned with, even though I try my best to make sure that if I'm doing something, it has the most authentic side of me represented, or I'm not making any false technical claims about a product. Like that's
that you can get into trouble.
That's the only thing I can control.
As more and more accountability will come into play, you make false things, it will. I hope at some point there is more accountability on that. Tell me from a creative satisfaction, which has been some of your favorite reels that you've made? That you've looked at and you said, you know what, this really was fun to make and I am enjoying looking at this.
I in fact spend, again, a bad habit about me. I spend a lot of time looking at other people's content and often fall into a comparison trap, thinking that, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. But I do not always, sometimes go into the rabbit hole of looking at some good stuff that I've done. One reel that I'm very proud of is the one I made in Ladakh while skating with my friends. So we were headed to this place called Hanle, which has India's highest and the clearest space observatory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's something that would interest you. Okay, so the whole thing is like a massive telescope that you get to enter, and it's a telescope within a telescope. And I don't know how to describe it.
I'm going to look this up. Yeah.
It was so good. The sky is clear 360 days out of 365. I'm deflecting. But the reel that I made there was just me and my friends skating on a road that has snow-covered mountains here, no car in sight behind, only one car in sight in front because that's the one we were traveling in. But one of the most beautiful experiences we've had. -8 degrees, snow everywhere. All we're doing is just skating for a good 7 to 8 kilometers.
Wow.
Then we got tired because it was really sunny and we went back. And I remember, even though that reel is not at millions, it's not the most fancy in terms of its numbers and metrics, but it's someone that's very close to me because I think that is the most dangerous place I've skated in. And that's a conversation I used to have with my friends, that okay, if you had to skate in one illegal place, where would it be? We started thinking Sea-Link, or an airport runway or this and that. And that's how this trip came to be. So that reel was just like a very fond memory of that trip. I'm very proud of it.
That's really nice. I'm going to look that up.
Hmm.
And you are Hustle Rani on Instagram. How do people find you?
Yeah, I go by the username Hustle Rani on Instagram. I do have a very smart, talented and hardworking manager. She is usually the point of contact for anybody who wants to reach out for work. My email is there on my profile, and I'm very responsive on DMs. I love going through them. So in case like somebody just needs help on, I'm not saying that I offer that advice for free, but a lot of like young girls who are in college or just getting out of college, they often write me like fan mails, but with a personal problem.
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
Okay.
And the personal problem will be so relatable, and I'll be like moved to help. This one girl reached out to me saying, I'm a big fan. I would love to work for you. I would do this, do that. This really inspired me. I'm like, okay, great. Where is this heading? Why are there 3 more paragraphs to read? So she had to negotiate a job offer, and she told me the whole thing, that they're making her move, they're paying her more, they're paying her less. And she wrote down her phone number. So I just called her up that very moment. I'm like, listen, this is your exact script to what you're like going to tell your employer. Say this. Tell them you don't get to tell me how to live my life and this much money, and get a better job offer.
She did it?
Yeah, she did it. She did take the comparative job offer that was higher than one of them. Just needed another girl who reached out to me recently, needed help with, hey, I'm planning on moving to Chandigarh. Can you like tell me what schools would be good for my daughter? So, like, I'm sending voice notes on DMs. I'm like I was offered so much kindness when I moved to Bombay by people who I had no idea, who owed nothing to me. And I'm not that social a person. I'm very socially anxious. So I try to like give that back by like helping people out in the DMs. And I love sending voice notes.
Yeah.
So I'm spending more than like an hour going through messages, responding to messages. And half of them just go like, oh my God, you responded? I'm like, duh.
Yeah. That's good though. Voice notes.
Yeah.
Well, you can get in touch with Ankita for social media and for some personal advice now, I guess. Thank you so much for doing this and taking the time out.
Thank you for having me. This was a really good conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.